Hey guys, welcome to another episode here on K6 Outdoors. Well, as you can see behind me here, I made an investment in the future. Well, not solar panels, right? Behind me there is a 28 panel, 11.34 kilowatt system made of REC Alpha Black panels. This is the pure ones where they contain no that lead stuff. This system is enough to offset 100% of my house's annual power usage and actually produces a little extra, so I can, maybe get a little bit of a check back. Probably not. I'll just start using more power. But this is enough to sustain our property. We'll get more into the details of the system, but this is a grid-tied system where I'm pulling and pushing from the actual grid. This is not an off-grid system where you have batteries and all that fun jazz. So this is just, again, to create some power to supplement my use, well, offset my use. So in this video, we're going to talk through basically why I chose to go solar. And in future videos, we'll talk through how the system performs. We'll talk through some of the other do's and don'ts, maybe some things to consider when buying solar panels, or if you're looking at them, and kind of go from there. So like I mentioned today, I'm going to talk through why I got solar panels and how my experience has been with these so far. I will preface that there's a reason why some of these videos are a little bit delayed on this. This was installed last fall. I'm wanting to make sure that I give a fair assessment on this myself before reporting to you guys, because I know there's sometimes some weird stigmas upon solar energy in general and whether or not it's worth it. So hope you guys will stick around and listen to me talk about the new solar array. So I will be the first to admit that when it came to talking about solar energy and the thought behind it and the process and whatnot, I was like, this makes no sense. Why would I do it? And why would anybody want to invest? Well, when you start looking at the numbers and the justifications behind going solar, you will quickly find that, well, the numbers just make sense. Right now, again, depending upon how you want to look at this, this is a ground mount system. I have a little extra real estate around my house to do this. The ground mount versus roof mount thing is completely up to the person's personal preference and whether or not you have the space to put it. I don't really want to put it in the front of my house. My house is south facing and I really didn't want to see them from the highway. So that's why they're back here. So what got me interested in solar? Well, I don't think it's any secret that utility rates keep going up. And well, my monthly bill started out here when I first moved in with one kid is vastly different now that I have three kids and we've been here for a little bit longer. I've got electric heat in the garage and all that fun jazz. So long story short, I thought it'd be a good time to look at this again, especially with the solar tax credits that were out at the time. When I first started looking at this system, there was a 26% tax rebate on this system. That includes labor, panels, all that fun stuff. Whether or not you want to add batteries, it includes that. And recently, as of the end of last year, they upped it to 30%. So I was actually able to get another 4% tax incentive. So for a grand total of 30% tax write-off. And we'll talk more about the solar tax credit in another video, but essentially it's not a refundable tax credit, so you have to have paid taxes or have owed taxes in excess, or you can carry the credit into another years. So I know there's some stigma around that and salespeople using that as a method to get you in, but as long as you understand what you get yourself into. So I started researching with a couple local solar panel installers. Really, I got three different quotes. And I wanted to understand what's the difference, what would they propose to me to be different, and kind of what their expectations would be for the system. And also, to get the cost. And I will say now, I didn't go with the cheapest option, meaning like I didn't buy the cheapest panels, and I didn't go with the cheapest installer, but I didn't go with the most expensive option either, and go with the most expensive installer. I kind of went and tried to find some online reviews to get a reliable solar installer, because it wasn't just too long ago that actually one of the people quoting this actual project filed bankruptcy. And there's a lot of big, I guess, lawsuits against this company for fraud and basically stealing from people. But good enough, thankfully for me, I didn't go with that company. I went with a multi-state company. The company I ended up going through was GRNE Solar. I'll put that name here in the middle of the screen. They've been really good to work with so far. They're a multi-state solar installer based out of Illinois, from my understanding. And actually, they were acquired by a bigger company, so it gives them a little bit more, financial backing and stability, which is important, for the long term, because these are the long-term game here, right? You're not playing the short-term game when you start going solar. Now, obviously, like I've been saying, these aren't cheap. I'm not going to give you guys exact numbers because it depends on location, the types of panel you're using, where it's mounted at, and all that fun stuff. But this is an 11.34 kilowatt system. It has 28 405 watt panels, which together can produce 11,340 DC watts. Now, actually you have to invert that back up to AC, depending on what kind of system you're using, whether you're using microinverters. We're not going to get into system types right now, but big picture, this is a good system that's typical for a normal house. This is going to produce between 15,000 and 18,000 kilowatt hours per year. And I will tell you right now, through 1 month, the system's actually overproducing what they thought it would, which is a surprise. Some of these other installers were quoting this, were saying, well, they can't get that. It's no way possible that they're quoting you that size system to get that kind of output. Again, these are some of the newer panels. These 405 watt REC Alpha panels are some of the newest technology out there. It was actually the 2022 award winner for panels, and it actually performs better than, well, obviously, than most on the market. So having a solar consultant that can actually help you out and give you some educated decisions and prove to you why their option's best, I mean, you're buying in again the investment. So for the system this size, you're looking between $30,000 and $40,000 before tax credit, depending upon what kind of panels you're using, and whether you're using the ground mount racking like this or roof mount, what kind of inverters you're using. I mean, it gets complicated on the price and again location. So between 30 and 40,000 is probably a good number you could look at for this. Again, all you have to do to do this, to get a quote for your systems, is you got to reach out to a local installer. They'll ask you for a utility bill, and they'll see how much power you're using, give you an idea how many sunray watts you need. Solar gets this stigma that I've always heard, that it costs a lot, doesn't perform like it's supposed to, and well, it's just not worth the money. The three things I look at is either you have to care about the planet and want to be more green, you want to save money, or you want to be self-sufficient. Well, in this case, this is not an off-grid system, so it kind of brought me down to, do I care about the planet and do I want to save money? And yes, it's always good to be green where possible and limit my impact on the planet, but ultimately I did this as a cost savings. My ROI on my system is about 8 years, 7.5, 8 years. One thing you have to consider when going solar is whether or not you plan on moving a lot. We plan on staying in our location for quite some time. We've got one kid in school and 2 more that will start. And we're playing the long game here. And again, the solar ROI is 7 to 8 years. And so it takes a couple of years even just to break even. And this does increase, they say, 4 to 5% your property value. So again, you can kind of do the math to understand what you need to basically produce to save yourself the money, or just realize it's an expense if you want to move. So again, we're going to be here for the long haul. So we just decided, why not do it? 7 or 8 years, we've got this paid off. Paid off meaning we've recouped our costs from installing it, and we're making free power like right now. I mean, today I'm basically maxing out the system's capacity, and we're producing a lot of power. Yesterday, I produced 70 kilowatt hours of electricity with this, which is enough for like 2.5 days in our house. So we're actually overperforming this month, which again I'll talk about more later. So the main reason I chose solar panels is to save money. And well, saving money may not be everybody's priority, but if you're looking to do an electric car, you're looking to be more self-sustainable and looking to save yourself money in the long term, you gotta be willing to play the long game, right? If you want instantaneous, next day ROI, it's not gonna happen. It takes some years to recoup it. Ultimately, they're saying over the life of my solar array, so these panels are warranted to be operating at 92% of their initial output life at 25 years. So at 25 years, you're supposed to be putting 92% of the same amount of power out as they did when they were new, which is one of the best panel degradations out there right now. It's like 0.25% degradation per year. So no secret there. The main reason I chose to go solar is to save myself some money in the future. And it is nice to be, more green. I heard about a bunch of coal burning plants or nuclear power or these big wind turbines, which are all around Iowa. And be a little bit of self-sustainable. If I get some battery packs in the future or whatever they end up using as a long-term storage device for us to store power, so we can, be less reliant on the grid, because the electrical grid's a whole can of worms right now. And if you live in Texas, it seems like you guys have a whole lot of problems yourself. So I will go ahead and give you a sneak peek today, though, on my initial impressions on solar panels, and basically my experience has been with them is that it's been very, very positive. It is a little bit of a bummer. The solar panels went live in January. basically the first part of January, being turned on. And you know, it was cloudy the first week, it was snowy, and it's like, man, are these things really going to pay for themselves? And you know, it doesn't take much for the snow to melt off here, and ever since that first week, I mean, even those weeks, it was producing a decent amount of power, but not enough to offset my winter bills. And again, on the forecast model, they show you your, you know, expected, you know, usage requirement and what you actually will be, you know, producing. So they offset. You're going to way overproduce in the summer months, and then here in Iowa, we're going to be pulling from that in the bank when we have net metering, basically over the winter to supplement that loss we're going to have, because we won't be producing as much as we're using during the cold winter months. But so far, I mean, been extremely, you know, my solar panel experience has been extremely positive. And Solar Installer has done a great job. You know, we've had a couple small hiccups, but they've been, you know, very receptive to fixing the issues. And it was more so one of those things that we had delays from the actual utility company, and so there was a lot of communication that had to occur because they took forever to approve the system, which it sucks a little bit that they have to approve it, but it is a grid tied system, so they need to know what could possibly outfeed into their grid, and no, we don't produce overloads in the system and cause a whole can of worms that we don't want to deal with, because again, this thing's producing some pretty good power, you know, with a 50 amp circuit up to the house. You know, one of the other reasons why I hadn't gone solar sooner is, for one, I didn't even want to give it a chance. You know, everybody keeps saying solar is stupid. Ah. Well, those are the people probably who haven't really looked into it to understand that, yeah, as soon as you look at the numbers, it makes sense. You know, whether or not you choose to make the investment, that's your call. That was the other piece behind it. It's like, well, how do I pay for something this expensive? It's more than my car. It's more than some people's houses. But the way you have to look at it is, you know, there are some different options. You can pay cash for it. There's some solar financing options. There's some other things you can do. But, you know, everything's, you know, there's different options for different peoples in different situations. I didn't pay cash for it, I'll tell you that much. I don't have that much money sitting around. But you have to look at it as an investment in your future. It's the same way I look at education. You know, education's expensive. I invested a lot in my future. You know, I had to pay it back, but it got me to where I'm at today. And I played the long game, you know, hard work, dedication, and making some good, decent decisions. By doing some of this stuff, you can give yourself a little bit of chance for success and make some better informed decisions in your future. If you're not already a part of the YouTube channel and you want to subscribe and find out more about this solar panel, solar array, how it works, my feedback on it, I would encourage you guys to do so. I'm going to be making several different videos in the future about how the system works, how it performs, and again, my overall experience with it as time goes on. And again, this first video was more of a, hey, I went solar, cool. I'm doing it to save money. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Playing the long game. Who doesn't want to save money in today's world? Because everything's expensive. You may as well make up the cost somewhere. And to be honest with you, people keep thinking solar is going to get cheaper. The panels themselves are going to get cheaper, but the labor is going to keep increasing, and well, that's going to offset the cost. So hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you guys did, give me a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate that. And if you would like to get more notifications when I post these videos, hit that little bell, make it turn gray. It'll tap on your shoulder on your smartphone if that's where you happen to have the app, and it'll let you know when I post these videos. Thanks again to everybody who watches. Without you all, this channel wouldn't exist. And I like doing this, sharing the information with you all, and, you know, taking you along on the ride, because again, I want to learn some of this stuff the hard way so you guys don't have to, and join me on the solar adventure. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. I'll see ya. Man, it's nice out today. 52. Perfect.